into your body while living on another planet. Hello again, Mr. Banana. You probably know that more than 7 billion people already live on our planet. Quite a lot, isn't it? It will take just a bit of time before there is no place on our planet. But this is not a reason to despair. In the solar system, there are a lot of planets and their satellites where we can settle. But have you ever thought about what a person can become if he lives on another planet for a long time? Today, I got the brilliant idea about it. And, of course, I hasten to share it with you. Are you ready to plunge into the world of the incredible right now and see everything with your own eyes? Then get ready, and let's get it started. Mars. If, by the will of fate, you ever find yourself on the red planet, you know that your body will change very, very quickly. Your bones will become much weaker in low gravity, making you much more flexible than you were on Earth. If you decide to stay on Mars and have children, it's likely that your children will seem much more dense compared to you. In addition, the organisms of you and your children will actively produce melanin in order to resist aggressive radiation. This means that with a high probability, your skin will become dark brown or black. In 1950, the famous American writer Ray Bradbury published several stories called The Martian Chronicles, which depicted the distant future of man on the planet Mars. His characters have brown skin and yellow eyes. Have you ever thought about whether people live on the planet Earth? One of the Martians asks. The third planet is not habitable, her husband replies. Our scientists say there is too much oxygen in its atmosphere. Thus, if you spend a lot of time on Mars, you probably run the risk of becoming a completely new humankind. Venus. Imagine that you are at a depth of 900 meters underwater without a spacesuit. This is how a person will feel being on the surface of Venus, the closest sister of our planet. The situation is aggravated by the fact that there is no oxygen on Venus. Almost all of its atmosphere consists of carbon dioxide. And several times a day there are rains of sulfuric acid on the surface. Watch out! However, if in the future humanity somehow solves these global problems, it is quite possible that hell will turn into a tropical paradise. The planet would be an almost perfect place, except for an increase of about 40% compared to the Earth's level of radiation. This means that a person living on Venus will look like a person living on Mars. He will be swarthy and somewhat taller than a person who lives on Earth. 3. The planet oceans. A world without land. The kingdom of waves, the run of which is unlimited. The drowned land. Of course, a person cannot be an aborigine of such a world. The dolphins will never appear here, but otherwise it is quite a friendly world. Harmony and grace. However, the boundless sea will not be an exact copy of the Earth. After all, the conditions, though close, are not identical. The difference is that there is no coastline. The bottom in a sense, too. In any case, it is beyond the reach of the surface creatures. If one day you are lucky enough to get to any planet ocean, and you will spend some time there gradually evolving, then most likely you will change yourself so much that you will not be able to be recognized by your own mother. Your limbs will lengthen and your eyes will resemble the organs of a cat's vision in order to see under the water. In addition, your body will have more adipose tissue to keep warm in cold water. Mermaid tail would be useful too, that's for sure. However, the fins could also benefit. Usually water humanoids are decorated with gills, but this is somewhat strange. The lungs are more effective, because even fish sometimes acquire them, and reptiles and mammals returning to the sea do not think at all to give them up. 4. Titan, Pluto, and other planets far from the sun. Imagine that you are on a planet that is just very far from the sun. On the largest moon of Saturn, Titan, people will be able to draw energy from the limitless reserves of fossil fuel and oxygen from frozen water that constitutes most of the mass of this planet. Nitrogen atmosphere, which is denser than the Earth, will protect a person from cosmic radiation and allow him to live in leaky buildings and move not in spacesuits, but in very warm clothes and respirators. People will ride on boats on lakes of liquid methane and fly like birds in the cold, dense atmosphere, with the help of wings behind. But despite all the advantages, most of the colonists on Titan are likely to stick to a training routine, no better than a typical Earth dweller with an unused gym membership. Over time, they are likely to become too weak to live on Earth. The same problem will arise for those who want to colonize Pluto. daily exposure to extremely low gravity, the human body without training will become much taller and lose most of its muscles. The return to Earth after a long stay on Pluto for such a traveler will be very, very difficult. If all this does not frighten you, you can stay on Pluto or Titan for a longer period. In this case, you, your children, and grandchildren will get a very light skin and blonde hair in order to better absorb vitamin D. You will increase your nose and face to better warm the cold air, and even increase the amount of hair on the body. 5. Super Earths. There is a special kind of planet in the universe which is not represented in our solar system. This type of planet is called Super Earth because the size of such a planet is slightly larger than the Earth. Let's imagine how your body would change being in the conditions of gravity that is a little bit more than on our planet. Staying on one of these planets for a long time, you'll feel that your bones become stronger and larger in order to resist the unusual force of gravity. You will become more passive, and you will no longer want to do any unnecessary movements. But that's not all. If you suddenly decide to stay on the Super Earth and live a long and happy life, then your children and grandchildren are likely to begin gradually decreasing in size. If the gravity on such an exoplanet will be more than on Earth for 3 or 4 times, then your descendants will have a growth of no more than a meter. Thus, we can assume that they will be very similar to the hobbits from R.R. Tolkien's works. So, are you ready to go to colonize new planets? Sooner or later, humanity will leave Earth. Creating new worlds on other planets, we will acquire completely other trappings and features, eventually becoming utterly other species of human beings. Did you like this video? If your answer is yes, subscribe to our channel and do not miss our new releases.